The Kyle Busch saga continues. As the days go by, more and more news and rumors swirling around Kyle Busch's future in NASCAR after 2022. And Joe Gibbs Racing doesn't look like it's going to be part of that future. Here's a look at this video clip that took place right after Sunday's Pocono race. Joe Gibbs going up to Kyle Busch, and Kyle Busch basically just almost ignores him. Now, I know I'm not an expert on body language, and it's very difficult to go off of a 4 or 5 second clip, but I don't know. I feel like Kyle Busch, how he looks in this video, not even acknowledge Joe Gibbs, is more of a he is done. Like he's at the mindset, or he is just done right now. And I think when you take a look at the past few years of Joe Gibbs Racing, you know, really Kyle Busch has started to fall off with that team since 2019, since he won the championship. First, losing practice and qualifying due to COVID, then losing his crew chief, Adam Stevens, which to this day, I don't understand why the change. When they won 2 championships together, don't understand why the change. And then, of course, when your contract is coming up, they can't afford you, and if they could, you'd have to take a massive pay cut if they want you to be with them for next season. I think all those things wrapping around together is just saying, Kyle, you know what? F this, I'm out. But again, if Kyle Busch, which I do not see him return to Joe Gibbs Racing in 2023, I think we are too late into the season, we are so late into the season where companies, very, very rare, almost impossible do we see companies this late in the game of a season come out, sign a new sponsor. Usually that takes place earlier in the year. They did have one sponsor up for grabs, and that was Oracle. Oracle, who is the main sponsor for Red Bull Racing and Formula One, they were in talks with having them sponsoring Kyle Busch, but unfortunately those talks fell through, which part of me is kind of shocked because Oracle paid $500 million for Formula One and for Red Bull. Yet for NASCAR, M&Ms were paying $25 million a year. Kyle Busch was probably getting around 10 to 15 million of that cut. And the fact that they couldn't agree on a deal with Oracle to be able to sponsor NASCAR's one of, if not NASCAR's most marketable driver and one of the few household names that NASCAR has left, the fact that they couldn't come to a deal is very concerning, to say the least. I think with all this just wrapping around, I just don't see Kyle Busch back at Joe Gibbs Racing in 2023. It is just more and more likely the fact that we just have to come to grips that Kyle Busch won't be in the 18 car. Again, it's going to take a long shot, a miracle for Kyle Busch to be back with the team next season because we're so far late into the game in terms of sponsorships. But then again, with that, let's say that door is closed to Joe Gibbs Racing, the new question pops up, where will Kyle Busch go? Now here's the thing, Toyota, they are desperate for Kyle Busch. They're willing to do everything in their power to keep Kyle Busch at their menu. They're doing everything in their power, trying to find so many different ways to keep Kyle Busch at their stable. Not only because from a Cup Series standpoint, because Kyle Busch is one of the best drivers that NASCAR has today, but also because of their feeder system. Kyle Busch has Kyle Busch Motorsports with the Truck Series team and Toyota. A lot of drivers that come up through the ranks, trucks and Xfinity, maybe even Cup, begin at Kyle Busch Motorsports. Eric Jones started at Kyle Busch Motorsports. John Hunter Nemechek, who has run some starts for Joe Gibbs Racing Xfinity Series, racing for Kyle Busch and trucks. If you lose Kyle Busch, not only are you losing one of your best drivers that NASCAR has ever seen in a long time, but you're also losing one of your main factors for developmental drivers. So it is a double whammy for Toyota if they lose Kyle Busch. But like I said, Toyota is extremely desperate for Kyle Busch. You're losing 2 major factors. You're losing the best wheelman, and you're losing a driver that helps you greatly for your developmental drivers. But all signs are pointing towards Kyle Busch leaving. The fact that Gibbs and Toyota, they can't afford Kyle Busch, and Kyle Busch is not willing to take a pay cut. If he's not willing to take a pay cut, who can afford Kyle Busch? Now, I did say that there may be a possibility we could see a driver swap. You know, Busch goes to RCR, drives the 8 car. Reddick comes to Joe Gibbs in the 18 before he goes to 2311 Racing in 24. RCR does have a ton of sponsors that can maybe create a contingency plan or something that can help make up the bulk of Kyle Busch's contract for at least 1 year before they can go out and search for a full-time sponsor for 24. That's a possibility. I wouldn't rule that out of it. That could happen. Weirder things have happened in racing, and there were some people that were saying that maybe that partnership would not work because of Richard Childress and Kyle Busch's past, 2011 at Kansas when they got into a little fist fight almost. But that was in the past. That was a decade ago. Weirder things have happened in racing. Look at Tony Stewart and Kurt Busch. They both had a bit of a scrap in 2007, and Kurt Busch ended up driving for Tony in 2014. So just because of something bad that's happened in the past between two people, that doesn't mean the bridge is forever going to be burnt. But I think if there is any option, any way for Kyle Busch to be a part of the Cup Series in 2023, he has one option. Because I do feel like Aric Almirola will return to the 10 car in 2023. I feel like there are signs of just pointing to him returning. I'm not fully confident in him retiring yet. Could happen, but I do see Aric Almirola returning potentially to the 10 car next season. That leaves one spot up for grabs, and only one person can afford Kyle Busch. And the Door Bumper Clear podcast that we talked about in an early episode today explains who that person could be.
If you're going to buy a charter and you don't have a sponsor, how the hell do you afford Kyle Busch? If he's going to make what he's making right now, and that seems to be the thing.
I mean, who can afford him? I mean, Gene Haas can.
Gene Haas can afford
if he wanted to. And is there anybody else? I mean, Roger Penske, but I don't really see him hiring Kyle Busch anytime soon.
No.
So, Gene Haas is the guy that everybody kind of has circled on this deal because he's the only one that can go out there. We've seen him do it with Kurt in the past, kind of run the Haas car all year long. Kurt was, his guy. That was his car. He stuck him in there.
Yep.
It might be a similar situation to that, and maybe you stick him in there hoping you can sell a sponsor over the next year.
Yep, Gene Haas. And we know Gene Haas is wealthy. Gene Haas has done time and time again. He has paid from his own pocket to sponsor a driver. Remember Kurt Busch, when he first came back to Stewart-Haas Racing, it was really just Haas Automation. Kurt Busch still had a bit of a bad boy image, and a lot of sponsors didn't want to work with him. So Gene Haas paid up front to be able to sponsor Kurt Busch for majority of the 2014 season until sponsors came in to help pay up the cost. Daniel Suarez, same thing. When he came into the mix in the 41 car, Haas sponsored almost the entire season. And the same thing's happening with Cole Custer. And on top of that, I should mention Haas F1. So we know that Gene Haas has a lot of money and can afford Kyle Busch. The only thing that's stopping is two things. Number one, Stewart-Haas Racing's president, Joe Custer, who is the son of Cole Custer. Now, we know that pay drivers, none of us like them in racing in general, not just NASCAR, but especially in this situation. Cole Custer has been horrible. He has been nowhere near his competitors since he came into the Cup Series in 2020. Yeah, he got that win in Kentucky, but 2020 was his best season so far. And he finished 18th in standings with only 7 top 10 finishes, including his win. Now, yes, Stewart-Haas Racing has fallen off a little bit, but still, you look in 2022, Kevin Harvick and Aric Almirola, although they haven't won races, they've been very consistent and have had moments where they could have won. Chase Briscoe won at Phoenix and could have won 2 other races at Bristol Dirt and the Coke 600. And Chase Briscoe, how bad he was in 2021 in his rookie year, 22 comes in and he's having a pretty good season considering how bad he was last year. Cole Custer has been in a Cup Series longer than Briscoe has and hasn't improved. In fact, he has actually gotten worse and worse every year. When you are so far off of your teammates, how long are you willing to pay out of pocket for a driver that is running 25th? He got outrun by Ty Gibbs, for God's sakes, a driver that competed in his very first start and had 0 practice time. I don't want to sound like a jerk, but man, he's only had 1 top 10 finish this year, a 9th at Atlanta. That was just a couple of races ago. Took him to race 19 to get his first top 10 finish. The thing is that Gene Haas has more power. He is the co-owner of Stewart-Haas Racing, and I feel like he's going to use his power to push Cole Custer out of the 41 car, and possibly put him back in the Xfinity Series driving the 07 car, because he did win at Fontana with that car, stay in Xfinity, and bring Kyle Busch up to the Cup Series, maybe sponsor him with Haas for a full year before they can find a sponsor, get some time under their belts to find a sponsor to help pay up the cost that Kyle's asking for. That is a very big possibility, and I think that is Kyle Busch's only option, to be honest. The only thing that is stopping it is a personality issue. You do have Chase Briscoe, and you do have Aric Almirola there. More than likely, Aric Almirola there for 2023. But you have Kevin Harvick. Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch is like olive oil and water. They don't mix. I don't think I need to remind you the history of Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick. I did talk about on how Richard Childress and Kyle Busch, they had an incident in 2011. But I feel like that is not as severe as between Kevin and Kyle, because those two, there's real hatred between the two, I feel like. And Kevin Harvick is SHR's #1 driver. But now when you bring Kyle Busch into the mix, and now you have 2 #1 drivers battling against each other, On paper, it may look good. You have two Hall of Famers, not potential, they will be Hall of Famers when they retire, at your disposal in your lineup. On paper, that looks great. But it's all about personalities and how well they gel together. And I think having Kevin and Kyle on the same team, that's something you gotta watch out for. You gotta pay attention for. Maybe time has passed, wounds have healed, maybe they don't have an issue with each other. But again, that's something you really have to consider. That's really the only thing I could see maybe Kyle from jumping over to SHR is Kevin Harvick. But then again, would you rather have to deal with the personality issue with another driver or sit out for 2023? Your call. But I just think that is Kyle Busch's only option. That's his saving grace. That's his only option. Is Gene Haas in that 4-1 car, because Gene Haas is the only driver, or the only person, I should say, that can afford Kyle Busch with what he's asking for. If Kyle Busch is asking for around 10 to 15 mil, Gene Haas is the only driver that can fork up that bill. I don't see him returning to Joe Gibbs Racing. I think it's maybe going to be Ty Gibbs or some other driver. I don't see Kyle Busch returning to Joe Gibbs. With the way how he's been acting, especially with that video clip around Joe Gibbs, with the way contract talks have been going on, Kyle Busch still not been the same since his championship win in 2019. So many other things is just building up to Kyle leaving. And I think we're so far late in the game where you have to pull a slam dunk in order to get a sponsor to fork over $25 million at this point in time for Kyle Busch. I think it's way too late. I don't see Kyle going back to Joe Gibbs. The RCR deal, maybe. Don't think it's going to happen. Either Kyle Busch goes to Stewart-Haas Racing in the 41 car in 2023, or he's out of a ride. One of those two options I see for Kyle Busch. The 41 car, the way I look at it, is Kyle's only choice. But what are your thoughts on this? Where do you see Kyle Busch in 2023? Do you see him somehow at Joe Gibbs Racing in the 18 car? Or what do you think? Do you think he may go to IMSA, be with Lexus in Toyota's desperate attempt to keep Kyle, or other? What are your options? What do you think is going to happen with Kyle Busch? It is, if he sits out for 2023, that'll probably be one of the biggest, if not the biggest bombshell driver agency news that NASCAR has had since maybe Junior left DEI. Maybe even bigger than that. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more content. Until next time, my name is Jet from MDK. Thanks for watching.